We are closing in just a week away from the Federal Reserve's rate decision next Wednesday. This all amid a backdrop of a tight labor market. Friday's jobs report coming a little bit weaker than expected, at least on the top line. And then, of course, this morning, those JOLTS, the job openings for October, jumped to another just shy of that near record. The topic is, of course, today's big take, and let's discuss it with Scott Lanman, managing editor for Bloomberg's U.S. economy coverage. And it really was that data, again, that job survey that really catches my attention. Shy of just another record, but I was also taking a look at the ratio. 1.54 for the job openings relative to the unemployed job seekers. And that, economists are saying, is showing that this labor market is tighter than we think.
It is quite remarkable, and that number actually is a record. That ratio that you just mentioned, we haven't seen a wider gap in the 20 or so years of JOLTS data that we've seen. Just having that number of job openings versus the number of unemployed is, a gap that's a new phenomenon, and it was happening a little bit before the pandemic, and now it's just really widened to quite a level, and it shows that there just aren't enough people to fill those openings.
When we talk about, though, this Great Resignation, which of course is what a lot of what the big take is about, is this people basically just job hopping, saying, okay, I can make more money doing the same job at another company, or are these people saying, I'm just going to leave and start my own business?
Well, it's the Great Resignation in two senses of the word. You have people who are quitting their jobs to maybe leave for another job and get more money there, but they're the people who are who are in resignation, as in just checking out of society, and that's another phenomenon that is happening to some extent, and showing up pretty strongly in anecdotes around the world that we've been reporting.
So let's use all this to push ahead a little bit to jobless claims as well, because what are we expecting, and what does it say about the overall improvements and remaining laggards in the job market?
Well, for jobless claims, I mean, that number has come down significantly, and it shows that there aren't as many people getting fired as there were. In fact, it's pretty low. It's essentially at the pre-pandemic level right now. So, employers are really trying to hold on to workers, and that could also be a reason why the quits rate fell a little bit for the first time in a few months in the report that Taylor mentioned.
I'm curious if there's sort of another demographic issue at hand. I remember, and I think I'm part of the millennial generation, and we've been blamed a lot for not forming households, not buying homes, and maybe not getting along with the Gen X or Gen Y management. But now it sort of feels like there is a shift where it's the Gen Z and that younger generation who's really rethinking what work means and the flexibility and what they want to contribute and get out of the employment situation. How much of this is also just pure demographics?
Well, there is a generational shift part of it. There was a really striking chart in the story that we've been talking about, showing that the share of people who value work highly has fallen pretty precipitously around the world, especially in the U.S. and China in the last 20, 30 years, and it's pretty striking.
We only have about 30 seconds left. A viewer actually writing in asking about how the gig economy and gig workers factor in to some of these changes in numbers.
Clearly, there have been millions of people. I think we had a story saying it's around 50 million Americans who are part of the gig economy to some extent. The number has fluctuated because the data aren't that great if you go back some years, but that is a major part of the economy today.
All right.